Crime Watch UK update at 11:45. That's the full investigation of Thursday.
Like it. Alright, welcome to another Top of the Pops reaction. And this one is from the 6th of December 1990. Your host is Mark Goodyear. I think this is the first episode of Top of the Pops with him I've reacted to, weirdly enough, given how ubiquitous he was on Radio 1, particularly the Top 40. That was more into the 90s though. Alright, so we've got 24/7.
Wait a minute, man, you better think about the world.
Oh, yeah, 24/7 and Captain Hollywood, Are You Dreaming? Is it number 25? I know this. So quite an early foray into Europop and Eurodance here. Maybe not so much pop, because Europop, I suppose, as a literal interpretation, had been around for many decades, but Eurodance certainly. Yeah, so this is quite an early Eurodance hit here in the UK. 24/7 and Captain Hollywood. And I do like this, so we're off to a good start. I've never quite sure who Captain Hollywood is, or was. Whether he was the rapper there, or the production guy, or one of the instrumentalists. It was a bit confusing as well, because there was also a Captain Hollywood project, which I think gets classed as a separate act to 24/7 with Captain Hollywood, even though obviously they're both very similar and both had this mysterious Captain Hollywood in it. As always, you know that there's the info bar down at the bottom left, so if I can find out any information, fascinating, and I'm sure it'll be down there on the screen. But as far as music goes, because I'm such a fan of cheesy Eurodance, yeah, this is a good start. I think there's better songs in this genre that come out more towards, I would say, 92, 93 is when Eurodance really starts exploding, because you're getting stuff like Rhythm Is a Dancer by Snap. I know Snap had been around a couple of years before that, but still. Culture Beat, Mr. Vain, that was that 92 or pushing to 93. Hadaway, What Is Love, KWS, Please Don't Go, that was 92, I think. All of which I think were, quite sort of massive hit. Well, we know Rhythm Is a Dancer was a massive hit for Snap, and deservedly so. It's an absolute banger. Anyway, I'm talking about other hits, and not really got anything to say about 24/7. I think they're possibly from Germany, but I enjoyed that. A good start.
By the way, tonight we have the full countdown of the Radio 1 Top of the Pops Top 40 and the artist album chart. Let's play a new entry now on video.
Oh, we're going to see an album chart. That was something that they did around this point on Top of the Pops. They show an album chart, like a top 5, I think it'll be. But it's going to be monthly. Now then, I do really like Justify My Love by Madonna. I'm just loath to say too much over this, because I always get worried that a Madonna performance, well, it's not performance, it's not even the proper promo video, because the official promo video for Justify My Love was classed as an 18 certificate, and for adults only back then. They're doing this sort of clip show here, so that they can show it pre-Watershed for a family audience on Top of the Pops, and maybe other shows around the world as well, that didn't want to risk showing the rude version before 9 o'clock or whenever other countries' watersheds may be, if they had a watershed. Stop saying watershed, Jimmy. But yeah, this one might have to be cut, I don't know. I always say that when Madonna comes on. I'm sure I needed to use a little snippet of Justify My Love for a video quite some time ago. And it was instantly copyright blocked, so that's why I'm assuming That might be, but they didn't play much of it. But I love that anyway. Favourite Madonna one of mine. That.
Countdown starting at number 40.
All right, we've got a chart. Mark Goodyear loves his charts. We know he does.
Number 40, it's a new entry. In
Disappear. I
Excess.
do like that from
Disappear.
In Excess.
39, Step Back in Time. That's Kylie Minogue. A new entry at 38, James and Lose Control. And no move at 37 for Mariah Carey. Love Takes Time. The Lars, there she goes.
Quite an early
Number
Mariah
36
hit,
this
that.
week. Straight into 35, Paul McCartney, All My Trials. The Beautiful South, A Little Time at number 34. While at 33, it's Berlin and Take My Breath Away.
I think that got back into the chart in 1990 because I think Top Gear had got its
And at number 31,
UK
it's
television
Be Light
premiere,
and
I
the
think,
Power
in
of
1990.
Love.
Alright, so we've had 40 to 31.
And then they're going to be in Amsterdam over the weekend as well. And I think they're going to have a top 5 hit eventually with All Together Now. Here come the Farm.
Oh, lovely. 3 great tracks in a row for me so far. This is turning out into a pretty good edition of Top of the Pops for me, and this one is the peak of them as far as I'm concerned. I love this. I've always loved this track. All Together Now by The Farm. Farm were a Liverpool band. I think Groovy Train had preceded this by a couple of months or so. Which was a pretty decent single in of itself, but yeah, I just love the, I don't know if you could call it a sample, but they use the melody from Pachelbel's Canon. Is it Canon in D minor or something like that? I may put that on in the ticker bar. But yeah, I've always been a massive fan of this song in particular. I do like The Farm. I've got one of their albums on mini disc, Love See No Colour. And I do think about getting the album that this featured on sometimes as well, Spartacus. I do consider picking that up from time to time, as I think that's relatively cheap to get on the aftermarket. That's one for my record collecting videos, I think. Yeah, obviously the lyrics for this are about the famous football match that occurred during a ceasefire between England and Germany in I think it was like Christmas morning or around Christmas time at some point during the First World War. I just love that Pachelbel Canon sample or melody. I don't think you can call it a sample. Yeah, there's been a lot of pop music that's sampled that over the years. I won't try listing too many of them now, but it's yeah. A beautiful piece of music that just works really well in certain pop songs. Peter Hooton is the lead singer of The Farm. Sorry, chaps, I can't really name any of the other members, but quite a politically charged band, I think. The Farm, especially in their early days. And All Together Now, of course, did get a re-release, a re-recorded, I suppose it would have been, in 2004, as it was chosen as the official England European Championship song, which in hindsight seems like a bit of a bizarre choice, but at the time, because I loved the song so much, I thought, yeah, great, I'm well on board with that. Yeah, one of my favourite singles, I was going to say of the 1990s, but it's got to be up there, one of them of my favourites of all time. It's just ticks every box for me as to a really good pop single with indie credibility. Beautiful stuff, love it.
And in a moment to another live act, but first we go on video to one of America's premier rappers. Check this out, MC Hammer.
Check this out, says the cool dude Mark Goodyear. Alright, so Pray by MC Hammer is a new entry at 20. This samples When Doves Cry by Prince. Great sample and a good track. I was a little bit of an MC Hammer fan around this point. I mean, I was listening to the charts religiously at this point, so that sort of period between, I'd say, 1988 to 1991, pushing into 92. it was very rare I'd miss the Radio 1 Top 40. I'd watch Top of the Pops as often as I could, but it wouldn't bother me if I missed Top of the Pops sometimes, because I'd always be listening to the Top 40 on a Sunday afternoon on Radio 1. And yeah, MC Hammer, I was a bit of a fan. I wanted his album, which I think was, this one would have been from Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Him. And I think I had the choice between that and Vanilla Ice to the Extreme. Bear in mind, I was like 10 years old and didn't get a lot of pocket money or anything. And I think I was allowed like one tape at Christmas probably. And I chose Vanilla Ice, which was probably in hindsight the wrong decision. I think MC Hammer was certainly the more credible of the two acts. No, the Vanilla Ice album, To the Extreme, weren't bad. I don't think I'd enjoy it particularly now, but I think as a 10-year-old child, it was pretty decent. But I think I'd probably still enjoy Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Him now, really, just for quality like Prey. Not a bad track on this episode so far. And we've got more charts, and this, I do like this era of Top of the Pops, because it feels like things just sort of breeze by. You know, everything just sort of moves nice and fast. There's Kathy from Emmerdale.
And climbing 5 at 27, Betty Boo, 24 hours.
I like that 24 Hours by Betty Boo.
Boring,
oh, great track from Pet Shop Boys. That deserved to do better than it did. I think it only got to number 20 or something like that.
A new entry at 24, Snap, Mary Had Little Boy. And at 23, Bog on the Time revisited Gazzo with Lindisfarne. Brand new at 22, Situation, the remix by Yazoo. And at 21, Time to Make the Floor Burn, that's Mega Bass.
Seen a lot of dance music creep into the chart now in 1990, aren't we?
Number 19 at Seven Little Girls, Bomb Ballerina with Timmy Mallet. Up 3 to 18, Sucker DJ by Dimples D. Robert Palmer, UB40, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight at number 17. My definition of a boombastic jazz style, Dream Warriors, number 16. At 15, To Love Somebody, that's Jimmy Somerville. King of the Road, The Proclaimers, is this week's number 14. Straight into 13, this one's for the children by New Kids on the Block.
I think that was like a Christmas single from New Kids on the Block. Yeah, it will get higher than that. Deserved to be Christmas number 1 really, but you know, we've been up against Cliff Richard this year, I think.
Birmingham's NEC, a record 18 live shows at Wembley Arena. Could only be one person with Saviour's Day. Here comes Cliff Richard.
Speak of the devil. Well, he's been caught. I'm actually disappointed. I do like Saviour's Day. It's a real guilty pleasure of mine.
Album chart top 5 for November.
Alright, so we've got the monthly album chart. I kind of wish they'd done this weekly, really, because it don't really make sense to me that that they only have like one a month. But I suppose it'd be a little bit samey if, like, because the album charts, I think a lot of our albums just kind of, you know, there's a selection of them that all stayed near, you know, in like sort of the same position for weeks. There's Paul Simon. That was we have the number 5 one cut, so I'll leave it in the description what the number 5 album would have been. But they're not playing much here for these. Beautiful South there with Choke at number 3. Was that their debut or second album?
And recorded
because
number 1 artist album in November. Elton John.
It'd be a bit samey, I think, at this period in the charts history. That's certainly a former number 1. Elton John's first solo number 1 single as well, Sacrifice Healing Hands. He of course had reached number 1 prior, but that was with Kiki D, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. And I think that Sacrifice was actually re-released. I think it flopped pretty much on its initial release.
Top of the Pops in stereo on Radio 1 and of course on BBC 1. And we stay with the videos for one of the premier dance acts. A new entry at 24, Snap, Mary Had Little Boy.
Alright. Mary Had a Little Boy, quite appropriate, near to Christmas. You wouldn't really call this a Christmassy song, listening to it, I don't think. I'm fairly familiar with this because my brother had the album this was on. He had Snap's, it would have been their debut, I'm pretty certain, World Power. I mean, he loved the single, The Power. I wouldn't say this is a massively strong single. I mean, I've mentioned Snap already earlier on during 24/7 and Captain Hollywood. I mean, Snap really embraced that sort of Euro dance vibe a couple of years later with Rhythm is a Dancer and their follow-up album, I think Madman's Return, that was. Well, I mean, this is alright. It's a little bit weak for me. Probably the weakest. I'm not including any of the album clips because they're too short. But probably the weakest song on the show so far. But it's not bad by any stretch. It's got some nice housey piano. I always like to hear that. I just think Snap did better with them. You know, a couple of years later. There's Turbo B. No, Turbo B did feature on Rhythm is a Dancer. I'm trying to think if he would have. Was he used much by Snap after that? I'm not sure he was.
Okay, this was on a Christmas album last year, this next song, but it's added a single. The New Kids on the Block with their Christmas offering. This one's for the children.
Alright, okay. So it's a Christmassy hit for New Kids on the Block. Quite a low new entry, although singles still did that. They still charted relatively low, even when it's a big act, and New Kids on the Block, make no mistake, were massive around this point. In America and over here in the UK. But, I would have just expected them to come into the, be a new entry rather higher up and then sort of be threatening the #1 around Christmas time. But I mean, this gets in the top 10, I'm pretty sure, and you'll see the peak chart position on screen. Filmed in Russia, I think. It's quite an unusual. I mean, I get why they do. I mean, this is around the time of, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the decline of communism, blah blah blah. So, they're making like some sort of world peace kind of statement, obviously involving kids. But it looks like it's filmed all over the world. This, but Russia was definitely notable. Moscow, presumably. I will hold my hands up. I did quite like New Kids on the Block when I was younger. I think by 1990, 1991, my music tastes were maturing somewhat, as was I. Physically, if not mentally. But so yeah, I've got a little bit of fondness for this. I mean, I can't say I'm overly keen on it now, but yeah.
The big top 10 countdown, like this.
Oh wow, top 10 already. As I say, this edition feels like it's just breezed by.
Black Box and Fantasy. The second highest new entry, Justify My Love, Madonna at number 9. Falling by Julie Cruz is number 8 this week.
That featured on Twin Peaks, I think, Julie Cruz.
At number 7. The highest new entry, Cliff Richard's Saviour's Day.
That's your future Christmas #1. Spoiler there.
9, Kinky Boots, Patrick McNee and Honor Blackman. There's no change at 4 for Kim Appleby with Don't Worry. No move at number 3 for EMF with Unbelievable. And no move at number 2. Still.
Right, we've got a non-mover at #1. Who is it?
Okay, do you like Vanilla Ice?
Yeah!
Oh.
Because he's here rapping totally live at number 1.
Well, how nice that we've come full circle in this reaction, and after talking about Vanilla Ice and my slight regret over choosing To the Extreme over Please Hammer Don't Hurt Them, we've got Vanilla Ice at #1. Perhaps this is, perhaps because he got to #1 and he was considered, obviously, by that token, if nothing else, slightly more successful over here than MC Hammer. Maybe that was why I chose to the extreme. But Ice Ice Baby, it's got a great sample. I've talked a lot about samples in this. Prey had the great When Doves Cry by Prince sample, and this has got the Queen and David Bowie Under Pressure sample, of course. So yeah, Vanilla Ice, what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? I mean, I think even at the time, you know, although it was popular with a certain demographic, you know, young kids, and I think he was quite popular with the ladies, I don't think sort of like, you know, your hardcore rap faithful ever really fully took him to heart, did they? And you can kind of understand it. I mean, it's quite rare to hear a proper live performance on Top of the Pops at this point. And he's not doing a bad job, really, is he? You know, I think it seems he can rap live pretty well. Perhaps we've all been a little bit harsh on Vanilla Ice over the years. I mean, yeah, he's got a stupid haircut, and his fashion sense is very of its day, if you can call it sense. But I think this proves he's a decent rapper. He'll never be considered one of the all-time greats, will he? But and this was just such a massive single. I mean, an obvious #1, really. It just got played everywhere. You know, you'd have to be living in a cave not to be familiar with Ice Ice Baby in 1990. Yeah, maybe inspired myself a little bit, and I don't know why I would be, you know, too ashamed of it, but I'm enjoying it. You know, like I say, there's certainly better rap and hip-hop songs and artists that have come before and after Vanilla Ice, but MC Hammer being an example of a contemporary who probably, looking back, was certainly more credible. But Ice Ice Baby was a decent single, a decent #1, and this has been a really strong edition of Top of the Pops.
Don't forget, you hear the new Top 40 first on Radio 1 Sunday at 5 o'clock. In charge next week on the Pops, it's the breakfast show Simon Mayo. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll play out tonight with Betty Boo, 24 Hours.
Oh!
Here. Good night!
And we're playing out with a good song as well, 24 Hours by Betty Boo. I did like this. Oh, she's gorgeous, Betty Boo is. I think she released a brand new album this year, a first for quite some time. I wouldn't mind hearing it. I mean, I don't stream music, so I might just sort of buy it and take a punt on it. And she's still looking rather lovely for considering, you know, she had like a decades-long break as an actual artist. She's done a lot of songwriting, I believe. But, yeah, she wouldn't have been very old here, like 1920, I think. In 1990. Well, as you can see, the credits are on, so it's time for me to, much as I love this track and love looking at Betty Boo, it's time for me to say goodbye, to say thank you all for watching this reaction. I've really enjoyed this one, and so let me know what you thought of it in the comments, whether you enjoyed it as much as I did, or whether you thought it was a bit tosh. All opinions welcome. Special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons, and please will you join me again next month for my next Top of the Pops reaction. And I planned it. I think it's going to be another good one, but we shall see. Cheers everyone. See ya!